Last video we got the ball animating. This time we're going to add a little bit more to it because it would be nice if the ball would do more than just move horizontally, but also move with a vertical component. So what you should be starting to put together is, if we have one item that moves it on X, we'll have one that moves it along the Y axis as well. So I'll do a speed Y and we'll give it the same value. Now, currently we're updating our animation with its X value. So now we will just update the Y in the same manner. Now if I do this and run it, you'll see that it moves diagonally and it went off screen. Remembering that while we checked our boundary for the vertical or horizontal component, we need to check it for the vertical component as well. So just put a little comment in, vertical check. So if my Y, and it's going to be pretty much the same as what we did with X, but we'll be using height values instead of width values. So Y plus, whoop, missed the key, Y plus H divided by 2 is greater than the height of our sketch, curly brace, return, close curly brace, up arrow, speed Y is equal to speed Y multiplied by -1. Now, you may be thinking, it's like, okay, well, we could just hard code that value in and that would work. So if speed X, because we know when it hits the width, our speed X is a positive value, so we could just say equal to -5. And that works, but the disadvantage of doing it that way is if I want to change these numbers, so if I want to make my speed X 8, 10, 2, whatever I want to do it, I would have to then go back into my code here and change it. But by using this, multiply it by -1, it doesn't matter because we're not referencing the exact value anymore. We're just referencing the variable. And that's really part of what makes variables so powerful when we work with them, is that once we define it, we can work with it, and then we only have to really change it in one place, and it will update throughout our code. So ideally, within actual functions or instructions that are running in our program, we want to avoid hard coding in actual values. So X, Y, speed X, speed Y. We don't want to have those hard coded in the code, because if we update what those actual values are, our whole code breaks, or we have to go and find all the different instances of it inside our code, and that's just really not very fun. So the best practice when programming is to define your variables once and then just work with them in your code. And then you can transform them, change them, modify them, whatever, but you don't have to go find all the different instances of the number that's associated with speed X and change it in your code, because in a large scale program, you'll never find them all. And then that will cause gremlins to be in your program. Remember, when we put things in, if we open a curly brace, it must have a closing curly brace. Notice if I select a curly brace, it shows its partner. So if I click on by this one here, it highlights that one up there. All of our lines of code are closed with a semicolon. That's like the period at the end of a sentence. So just common things that we need to keep track of when we are coding. And now we can see our ball. Whoop. Apparently something's off here in the code, so we'll have to do it. I was just typing along with what was there, but now we'll go in and examine how it's broken. And looking in the code, because sometimes you run into problems where you copy paste and see things and you forget to change items. In this case, because I was talking and looking at what I had for the X code and then just retyping it for the Y code, I typed the X. So now let's hit play and we should see it now bounce properly off the top of our screen. And just to reiterate what I was saying, if I change my X value to 2 and I changed my Y value to 10, we can see our code just works. So we only have to change these in one place and it updates throughout the rest of our program. So that's the way that we want to see it happen.